What up, y'all, and welcome back to another Pokemon Pocket video. It's your boy Ben here, and that's right, we are going over the final meta report of Space Time Smackdown. Now, I'm excited as you all are because hopefully, potentially, according to data mines, we are looking at a new expansion set to release the A2A this coming Friday. Now, we haven't seen a new trailer yet. Maybe with Pokemon Day comes out, we get the full trailer and everything. It hurts my heart to wait that long, but as all good things come, they also must come to an end. So we are just going to wrap up and just look at the final meta report before that new set comes out. Lo and behold, to no one's surprise, we are seeing Darkrai Magnezone. It really truly believe that Magnezone is probably one of the best cards to make an old card great, aka our Magneton here, and Darkrai EX just finding ways to just punish folks as really being the big boss and as it, it looks like it, right? So this variation, however, which toppled the massive Earthsea Day tournament. We know those tournaments run up to 1,900 players, and this version is running Kangaskhan instead of Darjadon. Now, what's really cool here is that this allows you to actually be on the offensive. Kangaskhan allows you to attack for just 1 energy, and you can get up to 60. Now on the other end, you can get up to 0, but it feels like we have not really seen Kangaskhan since Darjadon came out, but now there's a revival here because you're giving yourself opportunity to be a wall with this 100 HP and also doing some damage because it's a colorless energy attack to the opponent where you can possibly high roll and actually clear out a couple of Pokemon with just Kangaskhan. The rest of this deck has the Rocky Helmet to aid out to the Kangaskhan, and we're seeing Leaf, we're seeing Cyrus, Sabrina, all of the good tech cards because your big guys in the end with Darkrai and Magnezone can really clear out anything else that gets softened up with Kangaskhan. Up next, surprise, surprise, we have Pachirisu EX 18 trainers. Now that we've seen this 18 trainers run with Articuno because you get all of the Misties and all those fun things, but now with Space Time Smackdown, folks have said why not try this kind of tactic with Pachirisu, and this player navigated Pachirisu EX all the way up to 2nd. That's right, the finals came down to Darkrai, Magnezone, Kangaskhan to Pachirisu EX trainers, meaning that this Pachirisu EX faced against this the Executor, Celebi decks, the Darkrai, Magnezone decks, all of those big names here, and came out on top. So because you have so much, it's really interesting to see the cards that are in this deck. Obviously, you have your tools, the 4 tools here to really enable that 80 damage once you get your 2 energy on it and going. You also have room, because it's an 18 trainer deck, to play with Mars and to play red card. Now, this is interesting, right? Because red card is really good earlier on, quote unquote, so to speak, because you want to make sure that your deck size isn't getting smaller, because oftentimes than not, when you red card, that gives them more of a higher chance for them to get the card back. So playing it out early enough maybe could do you favors. But Mars here is interesting because if they knock out 1 Pachirisu EX, this Mars means that they're only able to shuffle out and get 1 card. So there could be some room to wondering when you're going to play the Mars. They're opting out for 2 Sabrinas, 2 Cyruses to control the board. And an interesting piece here is Blue looking for some kind of survivability, especially if this Pachirisu EX has a giant cape or something like that. So here's this build. Let me know what y'all think. Do you like this 18 trainer style of decks? Is this something that fits you all? I have not myself tried this out yet, but seeing it come in 2nd, in this like big tournament is really interesting. And we couldn't talk about a meta report without Executor Celebi. This deck feels really good. We're seeing that it is running a Rocky Helmet, a Giant Cape. You only have 5 Pokemon. In essentially, this Pokemon communication is usually used to find your Executor EX, and you're oftentimes having Executor EX online already attacking, and therefore building this Celebi EX in the backline. I think the only things that you really have to think about here is when you are pivoting, when you're giving yourself enough energy to Executor EX to be able to retreat out in case things get a little dicey for you, because as you can see, they're not running any leaves, but you're playing around with Sabrina, you're playing around with Cyrus, you're including a potion, you have your Ericas. Maybe this red card here could be something else, right? Like maybe an additional potion here, maybe it's an additional Giant Cape, maybe it's an additional Cyrus. Folks like red card, you know, I don't. So I will definitely use like one of these utility cards instead of the red card here, just because I think there's not enough room for, you know, there's not enough Cyruses right here, right? Like, look, come back here. Like, what are we doing? Stop hiding. Up next, we have a Darkrai, Greninja, and now Kangaskhan variation that went 10-3 in the Earthsea Day tournament. This is again utilizing Kangaskhan as an offensive tank. Again, you're like, okay if it hits for 0 because your Judgedon at the end of the day wasn't really attacking. So it really is just a plus, like a positive here to have your Kangaskhan up front. You're running the Rocky Helmet for your Kangaskhan, but like really you can throw it on your Darkrai as well too. Either way, Rocky Helmet, I have found, has been really good at dissuading folks from attacking early, so just being able to have that right away in your hand feels really good. You have your Greninja here, which really pairs well with Cyrus. Anything that's attacked with this Water Shuriken is Cyrusable and ready. The Leaf here to keep your Kangaskhan healthy and kind of get yourself ready for your Darkrai attack. This is a deck that is really only running Dark Energy. Your Greninja is not here to set up the Mist Slash, but it is here for the Water Shuriken and softening up folks so that way you can clear things with this 80 damage. Up next, we have Skarmory Magnezone deck. And again, Magnezone is a powerful card. It's amazing to see that we have a card that can really fit and kind of like pull up some of these other cards to really make them shine as well. Magnezone itself can't be a deck otherwise, you know, that's why it needs its partner. So I really do like how they made Magnezone, and I really do think that they should make more cards that can stand alone in decks such as this. Things like Mew EX, things like Tauros, things like Yanmega, things like being able to splash and then use those cards to kind of like do coverage kind of thing. Like, it's really cool. I like it a lot. I really do like this design, but we know what Magnezone does. The cool part about Skarmory here is that being able to open up Skarmory Pokemon tool happens more often than you think. And so if you're going second, you are typically dealing 50. And if you have a Giovanni on the first hand, goodbye to that basic that's running there. But the really cool thing here, we know that Executor is like running amok on these like ladders or the tournaments. We know we just saw Darkrai, Magnezone, like all those things. If they run a Magnemite, Giovanni and a Pokemon tool clears it. If they're running Kangaskhan, Skarmory and a Pokemon tool clears it in too. So like this Skarmory is really good with offensive. And another piece about this deck is that it's all non-EX. So your opponent has to go through 3 Mons, which is a lot. Being able to do 50 really quickly, building up 110 from both of these other ones as well, really does a lot of damage and puts a pressure on your opponent. All right, so now we're seeing a little bit of a cook, right? Someone said, I'm not just going to include the salt, the pepper, the garlic powder and call it a day. Yes, we see another Magnezone, but we're getting the Jolteon and we're getting some Zapdos to support this all electric energy. This provides you room for continuing to power up the Magnezone, which is something that like when it's splashed in other decks, typically you're like ramping it up quickly. So usually you only kind of get like on average like just like 2 attacks off, which oftentimes can do the job. But now running electric, you get to do this more often than not, which is pretty good. Jolteon flipping 4 coins does 160. Zapdos EX flipping 4 coins does 200 damage. So like if you're feeling lucky, if you feel like in a casino kind of mood, these 2 cards are like great for that. And on average, Jolteon is hitting for 80 and on average Zapdos is hitting for 100, and that is still very good damage, especially when you have a consistent 110 damage from your Magnezone. We talked about the newest variation of the 18 trainers, but like the tried and true Articuno 18 trainer deck went 10, 2, and 1, and so this is still showing it's still showing its power with the new additions from the set. We have Articuno EX, which obviously loves itself some Misty, but this also is including 2 Cyruses, which is great because it makes use of the Blizzard, because everything is now Cyrusable. Because of the way that the Blizzard attacks the entire bench, you have things like Rocky Helmet and Giant Cape for more survivability and more damage onto the opponent. Mars is here because once again, 1 KO of an Articuno EX, sometimes you just can't avoid it, but it brings them down to just 1 card here. Seeing a Mars in this kind of style deck makes sense to me. Giovanni being able to clutch up to 90 points of damage is still pretty good, especially if you've been softening up things with the Blizzard as well. So I kind of like this make here. I kind of like Giovanni, and I know, you know, there's only so much room in your slots for decks, but being able to slot in a Giovanni has always been great. And the last deck that we're going to be showing today is your Charizard Moltres EX deck. It seems like the Darkrai variations, the Magnezone variations are really coming out on top here, especially with eggs running around, and Charizard, while it has an extreme, has like a great matchup against the eggs deck, with all of the other things that are running around, it is not as strong into those either, especially because one of the things that you really loved about Moltres is that it has a different weakness than it does to Charizard, which meant that, like, you know, things that this is weak to, you feel good about, Moltres is there as like a good Pokemon, but like Magnezone clears this and does a lot of good damage to it. And then you have like these, if like you're not flipping enough, you kind of get hurt there. So there are ways here. However, this is still a very solid deck. The inclusion of Dawn allows Moltres EX to attack right away as well too. And we're seeing that they're just sticking with the Moltres, with the Charmander, to just try to build that consistency to get to your Charizard EX as quick as you can. So this is really a deck that really depends on its draws. If you're not getting the Charizard EX, you're not going to win. If you can get to Charizard EX, there's no one that can stop you. So let me know what you thought about the decks and the way that we're ending out our final week of just Space Time Smackdown. I'm excited to see what the new cards are going to bring to the table. I'm excited for the new cards to shake up the meta. And as always, I'm always looking forward to the first tournaments where people just don't know much or how to counter much, and really see that innovation come alive and kind of see what comes in and comes out and shaking things up a bit. I'm sure I'm not the only person who thinks we can get a good shakeup from this meta, so we'll see how that all turns out. As always, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, click that notification bell button so that way you do not miss out on a thing. Till next one, y'all, peace.